Tonight, it's a new edition of the Bigfoot Journal, your twice-monthly Bigfoot news update. What happened and what's ahead in Bigfoot research and news, only on the Untold Radio Network. The Bigfoot Journal is now. With your host, Mike Luci.
And away we go. What's up, everyone, and thanks for tuning in to episode 12 of the Bigfoot Journal, your twice monthly review of what happened and what's ahead in the Bigfoot world. If it's your first time watching us, here's a quick crash course. We sweep the internet twice a month, highlight the top Bigfoot reports and news stories, and share our findings in a fast-paced 30-minute time frame. Here are this episode's top stories. An Oxford University professor says game cameras play a big role in disproving Bigfoot's existence. Our lead story breaks down this argument, why he believes camera traps are debunking Bigfoot, and we'll dive into the storied Bigfoot trail camera debate. Are Bigfoot sightings being impacted by shifting temperatures? We're looking at some potential patterns between these variations and Bigfoot reports, along with the potential edge this data can give to researchers. The Bigfoot Journal team is also sharing their thoughts on a highly controversial topic, kill or no kill. You'll get everyone's thoughts in our latest edition of the 359. We've got that plus much more lined up for this episode. We think it's going to be a good one. Let's get rolling.
Tech and innovation is now.
Sorry everyone, but it's over. Bigfoot isn't real. At least according to one Oxford University academic. Zoology professor Tim Coulson published a recent article in the European magazine where he declares cryptids like Bigfoot, the Yeti, and Loch Ness Monster aren't real, but believes aliens could exist. Among the main reasons Coulson cites, our lead story will dissect the damning role he says trail cameras play in disproving Bigfoot's existence. We'll lay out both sides of this argument and ultimately let you determine which side to take in the Bigfoot trail camera debate. Professor Coulson says our understanding of biology, the absence of concrete evidence, and humans' evolutionary timeline are enough to dismiss Bigfoot as pure fantasy. His article examined how much time camera traps would need before scientists could confidently declare a species' non-existence. Coulson says the answer lies in something called species accumulation curves, which essentially tally the total number of species in a location over time. In essence, the longer sampling efforts like deploying trail cameras are conducted, the more species they'll capture. But when every animal that's believed to be in an area is recorded, finding new species becomes increasingly unlikely. Now, Coulson does mention we can't be fully certain these efforts will capture every single animal in an environment, and a very rare species can still elude capture. However, he believes we could be over 99% confident they'll record all large animals like great apes, especially when using multiple trail cameras. Despite deploying scores of camera traps in locations where squatches supposedly exist, Coulson says they've yet to capture anything conclusive. Although Coulson makes a very strong case, his trail camera argument is a common skeptical talking point. And while speaking hypothetically, he does acknowledge that if squatches exist, they seem able to studiously avoid these hidden eyes. So, if that is in fact the case, how are millions of trail cameras failing to capture just one conclusive image? Well, some believe it's already happened, and quite a few times at that. Among the most notable instances are Frank Ciancia's 2010 picture from western Vermont. There's the so-called 2007 Jacobs photo that was taken in Allegheny National Forest. We also covered a few potential ones both on this show and This Week in Bigfoot. To reiterate, none of these are by no means undisputed proof and continue to be fiercely debated. Researchers and enthusiasts have proposed a slew of theories. One possibility is that squatches have superior senses that let them detect camera traps, which do get noticed by animals. This clip shows a bear interacting with one that I set up while researching an area in the Catskill Mountains. Some believe Bigfoot can hear them, smell their plastic and batteries, or detect human scent, which, under the right conditions, can linger for days. However, if squatches are some kind of great ape, while our counterparts generally have a stronger sense of smell than us, it's incomparable to canines and rodents. Many believers say Bigfoot are smart enough to spot these kinds of subtle changes in their environment, or they can see the infrared light. To that latter point, though, the only known animals who can see in the spectrum are certain species of snakes, fish, frogs, bats, and insects. Perhaps, one can argue, skeptics grossly underestimate how low the odds might truly be for trail cameras to even get a clear image. Think about it like this. Most trail cameras typically sense movement up to 120 feet. While considering factors like distance and lens placement, they'll usually cover ranges of 1,700 to 3,600 square feet. For context, 1 acre is 43,560 square feet. Those aforementioned ranges would only account for roughly 0.04 to 0.08% of 100 acres alone. Even if you deploy 10 or 20 trail cameras across 100 acres, they would monitor just 0.4 to 1.65% of that land area. So when we start talking about hundreds of thousands or millions of acres, a group of trail cameras would merely record microscopic percentages of that location. Yes, some trail cameras remain up for weeks or months, but let's mull over this scenario. Assuming there's, say, 10 to 20 squatches in a wooded region spanning millions of acres. Whether they can detect camera traps or spend most of their time in places that are extremely difficult or impossible to access, does this put the potentially astronomically low probabilities of catching one on a trail camera into perspective? I definitely encourage everyone to check out the full article and more of Professor Coulson's work. There's links in the video's description. For the believers and those who claim to be knowers, I understand how uncomfortable it might be when these skeptical viewpoints come from an academic perspective. And while I hope this segment offered a clearer understanding of each side's arguments in the trail camera debate, regardless of your stance on it or Bigfoot's existence in general, if there's one takeaway I hope you get out of this, it's understanding the importance of challenging your beliefs and exposing them to structured discourse against opposing viewpoints. Before we move on to our next segment, I'm really excited to announce it'll be covered by the newest addition to our team, Cyrus. Some of you might recognize him from our lead story in episode 6, when we covered his Medium.com article on Sasquatch encounters in New Jersey's Pine Barrens. Chris is based in southern New Jersey, where he's investigated cryptids and the paranormal for many years. In addition to interviewing dozens of witnesses, he has his own YouTube channel called the VENOMOUS FRINGE that features high-quality content on the paranormal, true crime, and other high strangeness phenomena. Chris is a good friend of mine who I've known for years. I'm really excited to be working with him as we continue our fast-paced reporting on what happened and what's ahead in the Bigfoot world. So I hope you'll all join me in giving him a huge welcome to our team. On that note, I'll hand it over to Chris as he makes his official Bigfoot Journal debut.
One of the biggest challenges faced by Bigfoot researchers today is validating their investigations. In this field, we all know too well anybody can share a story, a blurry image, and a too good to be true video that gets its 15 minutes of fame. And when this happens, it's instinctual for us to solely focus on examining the subject in question. And as a result, we might overlook how essential this is to get a critical piece of evidence, the backstory. For my first segment tonight, I want to spend some time reviewing the importance of a backstory to any Bigfoot investigation, and more importantly, which questions can you get from that information? Often controversial, most stories, photos, and videos wind up being fake, misidentified, or deemed inconclusive, which is the closest form of validity we usually get in this field, especially ones that go cold. But in many cases, we forget the key details a backstory can reveal: the originating source, events leading up to an encounter, along with where and when it occurred. If this information is unobtainable or inaccessible, it's usually a red flag. Take the Snowwalker footage, for example. It surfaced in 1996 on a show called Paranormal Borderline. The footage doesn't have much of a backstory. A couple in Southeast Asia filmed a large hominid laying in snow and walking off roughly 300 feet away. Dr. Jeff Meldrum analyzed the footage in the episode. and he believed the figure was over 9 feet tall and felt confident in his estimate of scale, questioning whether they could find an actor to fill the costume. And during the show, Dr. Meldrum explained that when it was first spotted, the subject was analyzing its surroundings, something primates do. He also commented on the natural correlation of such a figure moving and looking as it ascended a large mountain. Meldrum tried to press for more information on the footage, to no avail. After the show's cancellation, the producers said it was a hoax. Information on how and why has since been classified. Despite these claims, the resources off and on over the years come with conflict. And then there's something like the Patterson-Gimlin footage, a 58-year-old film with an array of back and forth regarding its validity. All the key details about its backstory are very well known and documented. And to this day, it is considered by many as the most compelling piece of potential Bigfoot footage that's yet to be officially debunked. So where does this all add to? Well, for one, it highlights the backstory's importance to an investigation. And one of the biggest reminders I often give myself whenever I review a witness's claim is giving them a chance to explain. A private message can build rapport with those witnesses. Often, we see so many comments on social media with so many baseless negative feedback that would make a witness never to want to share an experience ever again. And after that, it's important about asking the right questions. Start with something generic, like asking for a breakdown of the region, and from there, slowly get more specific. And see what they know about the local wildlife and get details about the environment's predators. Slowly segue into getting more specific details about their encounter and reframe those questions to see if the witness's answers are consistent, and think of it like a gradual upsell. When it comes to photos or videos, ask what the witness did before, during, and after their encounter. And if no witness is available, use resources like reverse image searches to trace its origins. Sometimes you'll find this information in the comment sections where they're posted online. And the final component to this is simply going in with your gut instinct. During the vetting process, it's important to stay grounded. Don't criticize, but make it known you are taking the validation of their claim seriously. And if you feel or find out that there's fabrication, simply move on and do not pursue. Slander will not solve a backstory and breakdown. It is essential to have a backstory and direction, not only to help the field of cryptozoology, but set precedents by developing more thorough vetting procedures. Don't let another researcher's view make it the most valid reason because of their name or reputation. Let you be your own researcher and conduct your own analysis without being influenced. If we want to make any progress, this is a prosper for research.
Bigfoot in Science is now.
If you're a frequent watcher of the show, you probably know we like to do the occasional data dive. With many organizations releasing their 2024 climate reports, we decided to look for any potential patterns between Bigfoot sightings and climate-related metrics. We found one centered around temperature variations that could indicate how they might be influenced by these long-term shifts in a given area. We'll examine how temperature changes could be impacting Bigfoot sightings, along with the extent of these alleged trends on both a regional and state-by-state basis. Now, before we review the data, I'd like to throw in a quick disclaimer. The following segment is not meant to take a stance on any climate-related agendas or narratives. Its sole intent is to examine potential patterns between reported Bigfoot sightings and temperature changes based on publicly available data. Any perceived opinions don't represent those of the Untold Radio Network or its affiliates. For more on the story, here's Chuck Larson.
We found information that was gathered from the National Oceanic and Atmospheric Administration, which analyzed temperature shifts in the continental United States from 1901 to 2021. The article came from a Newport, Rhode Island-based outlet called whatsupnuke.com, and it listed each state's temperature change over that 120-year time frame. We compared that data with each state's number of public Class A reports on the BFRO database since 2014, both cumulatively and per 100,000 people. In addition to each state, we also calculated this information dividing the lower 48 into 6 regions: the Northeast, Southeast, Mideast, Midwest, Northwest, and Southwest. The average temperature change of all 48 states from 1901 to 2021 was 2.61 degrees Fahrenheit. We compared the temperature changes in states with high and low volumes of Class A reports with this national average. And sure enough, an apparent pattern emerged. We'll first look at the cumulative findings. Among the top 15 states in this category, 13 of them, over 86%, saw temperature changes that were less than or equal to 2.3 degrees, which is well below the national average. 9 of those states had temperature changes of 2 degrees or less, with the average among all 15 being 1.9 degrees. Conversely, states with the 15 least Class A reports experienced an average temperature shift of 3.16 degrees. 11 of those 15 states saw an increase that was greater than or equal to 3.1 degrees. This pattern also emerged in the regional part of our cumulative analysis. Regions with the 3 highest amounts of Class A reports saw average temperature shifts that were less than or equal to 2.6 degrees, while regions with the 3 fewest were greater than or equal to 2.7 degrees. So, the cumulative portion of our study shows a huge distinction in shifting temperatures among both states and regions with high and low numbers of Bigfoot sightings. Those with larger quantities of Class A reports show smaller temperature changes from 1901 to 2021, while low-volume states and regions had much higher shifts. I'll send it back to Mike for a per capita breakdown of our analysis.
The cumulative part of our study showed strong signs of an apparent relationship between Bigfoot sightings and temperature changes, which continues to a slightly lesser extent when we run the relative numbers. States with the 15 most Class A reports per 100,000 people saw an average temperature increase of 2.12 degrees Fahrenheit from 1901 to 2021. The temperature in 10 of those states increased less than or equal to 2.2 degrees. Conversely, states with the 15 least Class A's per 100,000 people had an average increase of 2.98 degrees, with 9 being greater than or equal to 3.1 degrees. 13 of them saw rising temperatures that were greater than or equal to 2.7 degrees. The regionalized per capita numbers mostly follow suit, with the Northwest being our only exception, but it's a pretty big one. Although it has the highest rate of 0.68 sightings per 100,000 people, the Northwest region saw an average temperature increase of 2.7 degrees. However, there's an asterisk worth noting. Washington State accounts for more than 67% of the Northwest's Class A reports. The state itself saw a 2.2 degree temperature increase from 1901 to 2021. While there are variables to consider in the study, like the proportions among metrics between a state's size, population, and biodiversity, overall, this correlation between Bigfoot sightings and temperature variations seems pretty consistent, and might indicate that squatches prefer or are more active in locations with stabler temperatures. So if Bigfoot is real, and researchers follow this data, who's to say that perhaps it can up their chances of potentially encountering one out in the field?
Report Roundup is now.
Okay, this is our report roundup. If they are out there, it's part of our show that updates you on the latest Bigfoot reports from major databases from across the internet. Once again, it was pretty slow on the report front, but we managed to scrape up a few worth covering. We have 2 notable reports that were recently posted on the Bigfoot Mapping Project. Details were pretty vague in this first one, but it describes an alleged sighting that happened in eastern Oklahoma. The witness claims their encounter happened in August 2021. According to the report, the witness says that they were walking in a wooded area and heard footsteps. They turned and reportedly saw what looked like a black bear at first. The figure then stood up and backed away into a thick bush. Aside from this brief summary, the witness claimed whatever they saw was about 9 feet tall, 2 inches, and black in color. It's worth noting this encounter reportedly happened north of the Comanche Mountains, which is supposed to be a hotspot for Bigfoot sightings in southeast Oklahoma. This second report happened in the village of Amanda, Ohio. which is about 20 to 25 miles south and southeast of Columbus. The witness claimed their sighting took place in December 2022. While hunting on their neighbor's property, the witness says they heard a growl and something that was tearing up saplings in the tree line. They fired their shotgun towards the sounds and saw a large figure appear. The witness says it allegedly stared at them before taking off and claims whatever they saw got halfway across the field in 6 steps. The figure is described as being black in color and 7 feet tall.
We found a few interesting accounts on the Bigfoot subreddit coming out of South Dakota, Virginia, and Wisconsin. This first one includes footage of a potential trackway that was documented on the Rosebud Indian Reservation in South Dakota.
You can tell the tracks on the left. You can see the straight line tracks versus the human tracks on the right.
The video was posted on a YouTube channel called Bigfoot South Dakota. It breaks down a family's report who claimed they discovered the tracks on their property. They emerged from a nearby tree line and circled the family's house before following the nearby road. The video includes close-ups of a few tracks, including measurements of one which seems to be about 16 to 18 inches. Our next post links to an article that describes 2 campers' alleged encounter in the Blue Ridge Mountains. The OP believes they had a potential Bigfoot encounter in Southern Virginia and is asking for opinions. According to the OP, they received multiple responses after doing a series of wood knocks, whoops, and howls, including one that allegedly sounded like an ape. Later that night, they heard something large crashing through the brush and approached their camp. The OP claims whatever it was walked up to their tent and made a loud huffing sound. That sounded exactly like a gorilla and ran back into the woods. They hiked back to their car after the encounter and never saw whatever entered their camp that night. This last one describes one Redditor's possible encounter in northern Wisconsin. The OP says they were preparing for hunting season last fall on their family's property. While checking one of their food plots, they discovered it was torn up and covered with half-eaten apples. They heard something large moving through a nearby swamp and smelled a strong skunk-like odor. The OP then saw what looked like a large ape-like man rummaging around in leafy debris and observed the alleged figure at a distance of 75 to 100 yards. After it's rented off, the OP claims they found more partially eaten apples in a beach ball-sized pile of scat where they spotted the creature. It was another quick roundup this episode. Remember, if they're out there, you'll hear about them, and who knows, maybe the next one will happen somewhere near you.
The 359 is now.
And welcome back to the 359. It's our new part of the show that debates and discusses something Bigfoot. Here's how it works. We'll find a recent Bigfoot related post or thread, have a fast-paced discussion on the topic, and keep the whole thing under 4 minutes. Here's what we've got in store. We're diving into the controversial kill or no kill debate. We got the idea from this post on the Edge Paranormal Research Facebook page. It outlines 3 major components of the topic: the legality of shooting Bigfoot, some potential alternatives, along with why some people want to kill one, and when they believe it would be justified. So let's dive in. The countdown begins. Where do members of the Bigfoot Journal team stand? Kill or no kill?
I'm not all for it. I don't support it. It would make more harm, not just for them, but for the ecosystem as well. Unless you were put in a situation where your life depended on it. I am a believer in self-defense. We do the same thing when it comes to bears, moose, anything. And I would feel we would do the same for them as well if our life was on the line.
I definitely take those scenarios on like a case-by-case basis. It's kind of like a double-edged sword. It might be like a lose-lose situation. If you kill one of these things and winds up getting studied, it fits the description of a human under the law, even if it was in like a case of self-defense, you still might be having some issues.
Yeah, if it's self-defense, have at it, but if you just go out and shoot it, I'd rather have one get hit by a truck and use that body for scientific purposes than have someone actually killing it. You know what I mean?
If we could just kill one and prove its existence and then, pass laws to where people can't kill them anymore, because these are so rare. We don't know how many of them there are. We don't know the impact of what we would do just by killing one or more than one, even that. So, honestly, I just take one for the team.
I was kind of wondering what like the legality of it was. I know there's a few places in like North America where it's illegal to shoot or kill one, but we find out it's some kind of like human species. Would that technically be considered a homicide?
It could be, but at the same time, this is, a wild animal. There's some kind of different species than us. They're not a human. So even though they might act like one, move like one, or have traits like a human, they're not really humans.
Yeah, but there's also laws against shooting endangered species too.
Yeah.
You can't kill endangered species because
they're not marked as an endangered species yet. I mean, they're not even classified as.
But I'm saying if they are, you know what I mean? If you do find one and there's only a handful of them, say 1,000 of them, that'd be probably considered endangered species.
It's definitely kind of like a gray area though, because they have to be classified as an endangered species. If you shoot one of these things before they become classified, I guess like all bets are off.
There is a severe consequence, even if it's coming from something officially legislated from a law or something natural from that of them. I do believe that these creatures are very intelligent, as much as you three as well do as two, and it wouldn't surprise me if there would be repercussions coming from both ends.
To Chris's point, as far as the backlash, I remember in New Jersey, we had that bear Pedals. Someone shot that bear. There was so much backlash from him shooting that bear that he just he moved. So, whoever's going to take that shot and kill Bigfoot, there's going to be a lot of backlash to that.
You're that person who shoots one of these things, drags the body, verifies its existence. Your name is pretty much going to be put on the spot. You're going to be ridiculously famous if that opportunity ever came across. I just think for some people, it would just be too good to pass up.
If there is only one or two, and it is, designated as endangered, wherever the Bigfoot was shot, that area is all going to get protected. If it's in a huge logging community, that logging, that's going to be shut down. So there could be, major economic ramifications.
I bet you there's probably going to be a bunch of other people from all these industries who are going to be pissed at you for all the jobs you're going to kill if you want to do that.
Bottom line is you need a body. I don't want to shoot it. I'm sure the guys that are hunters probably wouldn't want to shoot it either.
I'd be more afraid of, the rest of them tearing me apart after I shoot one.
That's what I mean, though. You don't know how they would react, especially if they're not too far away and they see that. I mean, that's basically setting up the tides for conflict. If it's not from a human being, it'll be from one of them.
You probably have to break some of the hunting norms. Everything pretty much recommends you shoot in the lungs or chest. I think an opportunity with the squatch, you just gotta throw all that out. Just go for the headshot.
Go for the head. I was just thinking about that. With how big they are, there's no way to really get an effective shot on them that's really gonna put them down on the spot without them going anywhere except for the head.
Check out Edge Paranormal Research on Facebook and Instagram. They post great, thought-provoking content. You'll find links to their pages in the video's description. Otherwise, that does it for this edition of the 359. Make sure to share your thoughts on this topic and any ideas for future ones. We hope you enjoyed this powwow and are looking forward to the next one.
Bigfoot Spotlight is now.
It's time for another Bigfoot Spotlight, part of our show where we highlight a few recent Bigfoot live streams, films, and events. We're covering 2 upcoming shows and channels in the works, Bigfoot sporting event, and one video that might shed light on how Bigfoot tastes. You don't want to miss what we got in store for this Spotlight. Let's get started. We're kicking things off by spotlighting some big news from renowned cryptozoologist Adam Davies. Adam announced on Facebook that he's starting a YouTube channel with his friend John Carlson.
Many people have told me, and many outdoors people have told me, in private, stories, weird stories of things that have happened to them in the woods.
According to his introductory video, it looks like the channel will be called Tales from the Deep Woods. Adam is encouraging his followers to share their experiences of unexplained encounters, including Bigfoot and other high strangeness phenomena. Make sure to subscribe and follow Adam's social media accounts for updates. Up next, we've got an upcoming UK-based television series. Starring Bigfoot researchers Daniel Lee Barnett, our friend Ryan RPG Gollumbesk, and adventurer Chris Alsford, the series will investigate alleged Bigfoot and UFO encounters in Dartmoor National Park. Daniel Lee Barnett officially announced the series on January 22nd, which has already begun filming. Dartmoor National Park is located in southern England and has an extensive history of cryptid encounters that date back centuries. Witnesses have reported sightings of a large black cat, dubbed the Beast of Dartmoor, along with a Bigfoot-like creature commonly known as the Ape Man of Dartmoor. Daniel says more details will be released soon. We'll keep you posted on any new updates. The ECHL's Florida Everblades are hosting their annual Skunk Ape Night, on Saturday, February 8th, in a game against the Greenville Swamp Rabbits. Once a year, the team pays tribute to the legendary cryptid by rebranding their name and jerseys. It'll be a night filled with cryptid-themed fun that includes a jersey auction, pre-game tailgate, and a poster giveaway for the first 3,000 fans. A Facebook post in the Mid-Florida Bigfoot Research Group says Skunk Ape researcher David Shealy, along with other members of their team, will be in attendance. As of recording this segment, the Everblades currently sit in first place and are the ECHL's Kelly Cup champions 3 years in a row. Puck drop is 7 p.m. at the Hertz Arena in Ostero, Florida. The Truth is Scarier Than Fiction YouTube channel is back on our Bigfoot Spotlight.
Unfortunately for the Fi-Fi, people were also said to eat it.
It posted a recent video that details accounts when cryptids were allegedly eaten. The compilation features about 24 cases that include a variety of cryptids from across the world. Of course, this video includes a few Bigfoot-like creatures, with stories coming out of China and the Sudan. According to the reported accounts, the results were mixed on how they tasted. If you ever wondered how Bigfoot or other cryptids might taste, then I would give this video a watch.
Guns. They then tried to cook the urine in a pot, but it tasted so bad they couldn't eat it.
That concludes our latest Bigfoot Spotlight. Check out the video's description for more information on everything we covered. And if you have any ideas on something we could spotlight, shoot us an email or message with the details. Take us out, Mike.
And with that, episode 12 is officially in the books. Crazy to think how our next episode marks the official halfway point of our first season. Kinda hard to believe how quickly time flies. Make sure to check out the video's description for more information on the segments we covered, and if you haven't already, don't forget to like, subscribe, comment, and share here at Untold in the CARC. If you have questions, a story to share, or want the CARC to investigate your Bigfoot encounter, shoot us an email or drop a line in the comments. For Chuck, Chris, and Toby, I'm Mike Luci signing off. We appreciate each and every one of you for watching. We'll see you next time.
Program is distributed by the Untold Radio Network. All rights reserved.